So Dark Souls 3 just released an ass ton of new footage. In this video I'll be analyzing, speculating, and give my own thoughts and opinions on the trailer and other various gameplay videos. Keep in mind that some of the videos are kinda crappy because they were recorded with a camera. With all that being said, let's jump right into it.
Yes, indeed. As they say on pilgrimage, the fire fades, and the lords have no thrones.
Holy shit. Let me just say that I'm so fucking hyped for this game since that lady came back to narrate that opening piece. It set the mood perfectly. Now those last three words, the lords have no thrones, I actually couldn't make out what those words were on my own. The audio seems to pick up and I can barely hear it. However, I left a comment on the main YouTube channel for a Namco Bandai where they released the trailer, and I had several people reply back and they all gave that exact answer. I also have two other sources that say the same thing. One was IGN's Rewind trailer that they say, it said lords have no thrones, and then there was another YouTuber by the name of Silvermont. In his analysis video, he also says the same thing. So I think it's safe to say at this point the words are lords have no throne. Now what exactly does that mean? Well, I speculate at this point that we're actually going to be playing a game Dark Souls 3 will revolve around, at least for the most part, revolve around the Age of Dark, aka the Age of Man. As in the lords or the gods are completely gone, and man has taken over completely, and is possibly corrupted at this point. I also believe that the game is heavily going to be revolving around the dark side. Now what do we know about the dark side? It's basically the game's explanation as to why you respawn at bonfires once you die. And the more you die, the closer you become to going hollow. Now, according to Hidetaka Miyazaki, our game will revolve around killing several Lords of Cinder, and he says that specifically lords, and that there's several of them. Now, Dark Souls 2, from their ending, established that there are several cycles that continue on and on and on and on. It repeats itself over and over again. So what I estimate at this point is that we're essentially going to be taking on all the Lords of Cinder that have established over the years and years and years throughout these cycles. So a possible rematch with Lord Gwyn might just be happening in Dark Souls 3. You never know. But I could be wrong. It's all just speculation at this point, so just keep that in mind. Speculation at this point. Now this picture you're looking at now is known as the Wall of Lodolith, I believe it's called at this point. I haven't heard anybody pronounce it, but that's what I believe it's called. That's the way it's spelled and whatnot. I'll have it on the screen. Now, according to Hidetaka Miyazaki, everything in this shot right here you could go to. It's travelable. Every room you could enter. Most people have said at this point that this is like the beginning area, sort of like Central Yharnam or, Undead Burg, whatnot. Needless to say, it looks pretty fucking big, so I'm really, really excited for that. And like with all Souls games, there seems to be a presence of dragons. And what's really interesting about these dragons is that they go by the title of stone dragons. And if you remember from Dark Souls 1, all the eternal dragons had scales of stone. That's what gave them their immortality to begin with. So I don't know if they have any connection to Dark Souls 1 or those dragons at all, but it is very, very interesting. And there seems to be a few of them, because I thought this dead one here on the bridge was the same one that was breathing fire from earlier, but as you can see in this footage, they're two separate, completely different dragons, so we might be dealing with more than one. Now at first I didn't think anything of this, because Hollows and all the games, once they lose their mind, they're out of their fucking minds. They just do random ass shit like bowing down to random objects. But the more gameplay that I've watched, I've noticed that all the Hollows seem to be directed towards the sun. They seem to be bowing down and praising, which further pushes my theory that we're playing in the Age of Dark, because there seems to be the sense of wanting the sun and wanting the warmth and the light. And why would you need a light unless you are, completely engulfed in darkness? Now this scene right here is such a throwback to Demon Souls and the Tower of Latria level, where those weird squid ladies that electrify you and then suck the life out of you. They probably have nothing to do with one another, but other than the color scheme, the lady itself brings back so many bad memories. There's also that weird man centipede thing down there in the cell. I don't know what the hell it is, but it looks a lot like the man centipedes from the Tower of Latria, the lower levels down in the swamps. Another interesting thing about her is that she's holding on to a brand. I don't know if that's really the thing that they mark hollows with for the dark side, but it very well could be. Which further pushes my theory that this game will revolve around the origins, or at least somewhat story significance around the dark side. Now, these two scenes look very similar. They could very well be the same place. I'm not quite sure. They look similar in a way, but not really. As far as what they're doing, how many people there are, they could just be like a cinematic intro to a boss battle, maybe a cinematic outro to a boss battle you just beat, or maybe you rung like a bell or some shit like that and you cleared out a church, something like that happened, but leads me to believe that there's some sort of cinematic. I don't believe you're going to fight all those people in that congregation. That seems a little hard to believe, even for a Souls game, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. What the fuck was that? Now, there are a few theories that I have as to what we just saw. Theory number 1. That could in fact be an intro to a boss battle. We don't know. Theory number 2. Now, this was courtesy of The Know that released early footage of Dark Souls 3 a while back. They said in order for you to invade another world, you needed to sacrifice the body of another hollow. That's just speculation. Theory number 3 is that you would literally, in a literal sense, create your own bonfire. Since there are so few bonfires throughout the world of Dark Souls 3, you would have to find these certain hollow bodies on the ground and literally create your own. You would become your own firekeeper. And the last theory that I have is a theory of my own, is that you would literally find hollows throughout the world that are just about to turn hollow, like undead, and you would literally, in a literal sense, take their last scrap of humanity. This would be like the new way that you acquire humanity. Not really sure at this point. All 4 of those theories are all just speculation at this point, but you guys go ahead and let me know what you think down below. It is important to note that through recent gameplay footage that there are in fact actual bonfires out the world, so that bonfire theory is just really speculated at this point. We're not really sure. Alright, so this area is very reminiscent of the catacombs from Dark Souls 1. These skeleton warriors know a few new tricks. One flies over your head, damn near he misses you and shit. This next warrior seems to be some sort of silver knight, very reminiscent of the Baldur Knights from Dark Souls 1. It could indicate that we might in fact visit the kingdom of Baldur, may even take on Night King Rendell in this game. Now, this was by far my favorite part of the whole trailer. I mean, who the fuck is this? He's like the coolest looking fucking thing I've ever seen. I don't know if he's a boss, an NPC, or what, but he looks like the long-lost granddaddy of fucking Gravelord Leto or some shit. He's got a crown on his head. He's looking like he does not belong there. He looks like he's too fucking big. But holy shit, I really hope you get to fight this guy, man. That'd be fucking awesome. And this is what I was talking about, how the catacombs were more in this trailer. This seems to be very reminiscent of where we were earlier in the scene, where we were fighting those skeletons. Now, the shockwave that the player just initiated was called a sword art. Certain weapons throughout Dark Souls 3 can now initiate these special abilities known as sword arts. The sword arts are represented by the small sword symbol in the left-hand corner underneath the Covenant sign. The more you have, the more you can use these special abilities that your weapons contain. Each one is a little different. Then we see the player roll around and do a nice fluid backstab. I really like how they changed the animation to the backstab. It's nice and fluid now. It's not all weird and janky-like. We then see a sword art from the Legion scimitars, and what's real peculiar about the Legion scimitars is that both swords come as a set. They're in one item slot if you look down at the footage below. We then see what again looks like the catacombs, another creature in the dark. It could be that skeleton lore, but it could be something different. Looks like it might be a boss, or it could just be like an environmental hazard. We then see a boss suited completely in armor, a four-legged beast, sort of similar to a lot of the four-legged beasts from Bloodborne, using a lot of the same similar animations that they used. And last was the boss that a lot of the Souls YouTubers saw, which is called the Dancer of the Frigid Valley, I believe. It's essentially supposed to be, I guess, the first boss of the game. We're not really sure. But needless to say, it looks pretty fucking sweet. And now, sadly, it comes to an end. That's pretty much wraps up my Dark Souls 3 speculation analyzation video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and here's my honest thoughts on the whole thing.
So much pain.
All kidding aside, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Go ahead and leave a discussion down below, comments and whatnot. If anything that you felt I left out, I'll be sure to comment myself. And until next time, stay soully. What the fuck does that mean?